Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Hey, we're live. I'm Greg Dunn. I am the game dev coach. Welcome to How to Build Games. Watch Me Work Wednesday. It's a new thing I'm trying to do. Some people have said, hey, I know what you do. I don't really know how you do it. So I'd like to see more of how you do what you do. So I'm going to build a game from scratch. It might be embarrassing, but it might help people. It might encourage some people to see that somebody who's been doing this a long time still has to Google things or whatever. I don't know. But I figured the potential upside of helping people is worth whatever downside there might be. That's kind of my philosophy. So yeah, there you go. All right. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to put me in a corner because I'm not baby. So then I'm going to go to Unity. Oh, hey, first, bringing ideas to life is a superpower. Superherocoding.com, or you can go to Superhero Coding and find the brand new YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. I have a lot of cool stuff there for brand new beginners. How to build games. Some of this is more advanced. Superhero Coding is aimed at beginners. Get some really cool stuff over there. Anyway, that's enough of that. So I'm going to make a new project. I guess I'm going to make it in 2019.4.18 because that's the newest version I've got. I think I'm gonna do a universal render pipeline. Call this July live stream project. I guess I should have done that earlier. Hey, swap back to me. So maybe I should have done that earlier, but I wanted to show somebody like from the very beginning, scratch. I'm using the universal render pipeline. Now, if you're not familiar with the new pipelines, you should be. Universal render pipeline is what I'm using. That works on mobile, that works on PCs. It gives a better quality than the old Unity stuff did. It's very, very flexible, although I have not really dug into that much. The high definition render pipeline is really crazy powerful, but you need a high-end PC generally to run it. Most of the stuff I'm doing, I want to be on PC, I want to be on itch, I want to be maybe on Steam, I want it to be on the Quest. So I use the URP. Now there used to also be a lightweight renderer pipeline, but that's not really there anymore. Now that's all part of the universal renderer pipeline. Now I'm using Unity 2019, which is a slightly older version. That was a recommended LTS version for a long time until very recently. I'm going to switch back over here because it looks like we're getting close to being ready to have the thing up. I already lost my train of thought. Renderer pipelines 2019. Yeah, LTS. LTS is long-term stability. The current LTS version of Unity is 2020.1, I think. I always recommend using the LTS. Don't ever use the very latest. Now, you might, and I'll get back to that, you might notice all this blue stuff. That is the renderer pipeline kind of figuring out its thing. I mean, you'll see that blue flash for a moment while the engine is sort of thinking. Not a big deal. Let it do its thing. So the reason I recommend back to me for a moment. The reason I recommend that people go with the LTS version instead of the very latest version, unless you have a really specific reason to use it, it's a bad idea because there are different things they're adding. They're not stable yet. There's different things that can be broken. A lot of times those small patches are coming out specifically to help somebody fix a specific problem. That's not what you want to be building your game in unless you're working on something now that's going to come out in a year or 2 or 3. Then, yeah, get the latest one. But I usually use the LTS version, long-term stability, and I haven't upgraded to the Unity 2020 version yet because I've been busy. But the 2019 works fine. Even 2018, although you probably ought to be at least on 2019 at this point. So, anyway, back in Unity. So this is what starts. There was a little bit of information there for a moment, and then I clicked away, and now it's gone, which is okay. I think it's in the README. Yeah. Talks about the universal renderer pipeline. Now, the thing is with URP that you really need to know before you just say, oh yeah, I'm going to convert everything over to URP. It's a bad idea. Because all the materials are done differently. I guess I'm kind of making this tutorial. That's not my intention. Yeah, URP is cool, but you can get yourself into trouble, especially if you're using existing packs and stuff like that, because it's more complicated. So there's more stuff here now, but this, maybe I shouldn't have started with this. I've kind of got something else in mind for all of this. I'm just looking through the different options. I probably should have just done straight empty Unity project. That's okay. We'll do it in here. It'll look really cool. I'm gonna make a folder and I'm gonna call it URP default stuff, because I really don't necessarily want all this stuff in my root. I like to have scripts. I like to have a folder called scenes. I like to have a folder called, I don't know, materials, art, something like that. I just call it materials, because a lot of what I do is programmer art. Yeah, because programmer. Yeah. So we're still in the scene over here, the sample scene. I think I'm going to duplicate that and move that over here and start ripping things out. Double click on that to go to it. I like starting with something that exists and ripping it and adding to it and pulling things out and putting things in. I think it makes it a little more, I don't know, my brain works better that way. I've been doing that since I was a kid, with the Apple and the Amiga and stuff like that. Take something existing, whether typed in or got the source code or whatever, and start changing it. That's how I learn. I learn really well like that. Now, okay, no, see, I almost went into tutorial mode. So URP gives you some nice, there's like some real-time lighting effects that you can't always get in other places. You know, there's some pretty slick stuff going on here. We're going to probably take some advantage of some of that. Yeah, so if you, oh, and the crash. Lovely. All I did was turn off sets. That's a bummer, huh? Hey, let's switch back to me. Only had 2 concurrent viewers while we crashed. Crash and burn, or did we? Here it is. All hung up. Yep, there it went. We'll now try to find a fix for the crash. No thanks, I'm good. You already broke it. All right. So, let's try that again. Yay, live stream. It's all good. You know, if it doesn't crash while you're presenting, are you even a real programmer? No. That's all I'm saying. So if you're just joining us, thanks. Also, we just crashed, so we're starting over. All right. I'm going to rename this to URP sample scene. did was turn this off, which I'm tempted to do again, but I'm not going to because I'm afraid. Okay, I don't need reflection probes. I don't need light probes. I don't. Some of the props and stuff. Yeah, all that's still active. Good. Post-process volume, that's what makes everything look really nice. Watch this. Turn that off. Doesn't look nearly as nice. That's changing the tone mapping. That makes a huge difference in how things look. There's a much richer array of tones there. Bloom is all this little stuff that you see there. And vignette makes a little bit of shadow around the edges to focus in, and you can kind of crank that up if you want, or not. Got some other options too. For now, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to turn it back on, and it looks really nice. All right, directional light, is that active at all? That off, and nothing is there. I don't think. Yep, it is. So that is also a real-time light. All right. So I'm going to turn this off. Hopefully we don't crash. Save what I've done so far. Turn it off. Look at that. Didn't crash. All right. Game object. I always start by creating a cube. Call it floor. Let's see. Where's the camera? Don't really like the angle. The camera's pointing at the default scene, which is okay. I like to have my stuff kind of focused around 0, 0, 0. Just a preference, not have to be. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create an empty called URP stuff and put 3 of them in there. So I'm probably gonna have a second camera. I'm gonna leave the light for now. I'm gonna turn that off. There's no camera, which we knew. We're gonna create another camera. I'm gonna move it back a little bit. I'm gonna up a little bit. I'm gonna turn the floor a little bit. So I've kind of got some decisions to make. I know I want to make some kind of a Space Invaders Galaga kind of a thing, and I've done some stuff like that a couple of different times. Not been showing for a while. Great. Guess I ought to use the Stream Deck, huh? Then I would know that you were staring at me while I was doing stuff in Unity. All right. First live stream, fail. Yeah, sorry. And also not my first live stream. Anywho, okay, so I made a group called URP stuff. I put the URP stuff in there, example assets, camera, and all that stuff. So these things are on. I'll even duplicate the directional light and put that in there as well, just to have the original one. If all these things are on, then the scene starts out exactly, turn that off, exactly like it started, which is cool, but not what I want for now. On camera, I want a directional light. I made a cube. It's going to be a floor object. It is focused, it started at 0, 0, 0. Camera, going to be, yeah, okay, so it's moved back a little bit, it's pointing at the floor. That, do 15, 15, something like that. I'm just going to kind of arrange this so that it points towards kind of what I'm looking at. I'm really still not sure what I want to do. I'll make a couple of materials. Red. Duplicate a couple of times. orange, blue, purple, and change it to be those colors. And you know, you can go to any of a number of different palette sites and get a lovely palette of colors that all work together. Not worried about that right now. Just trying to kind of get things in place. Laying the foundation is never terribly interesting, and that's basically what I'm doing right now. All right, got my floor. All right, past the floor, and let's do one more that's like a dark. Okay. That's gonna be the floor. Very dark. Something like that. I'm going to change this background to not be a sky box. The old Unity blue. That has not changed since I started using Unity 12 years ago in Unity 2.6. We're gonna make that black for now. Because again, thinking Space Invaders, Galaga shooter type thing. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna make that. Have something that's like that will. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, person who said, "Hey, your screen share is off." Hopefully that is fixed now. Yes. Okay. Good. Back to that. All right. Okay. Focusing in. All right. This is the sample scene. Still was. So I've got a floor. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another object. This is going to be the player. Move that up a little bit, and I'll change the scales and all that stuff later on. You know, I'm just kind of trying to get the foundations laid at this point. I'm going to make a script player. I'm going to attach it to the player cube. Script meet player cube. Double click that, and that's going to open Visual Studio 2017 because again, I haven't updated things in a while. And first thing I really want to do is just get some basic player movement, some basic side to side. Delete the default comments. I want a public float that is called move speed. I'll give it, I don't know, 20. You know, I mean, the speed just depends a lot on the scale. I usually just start with a number. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's 20. Because reality is that you're going to have to tweak it. If I leave my cube at this 1 by 1 by 1 scale, 20 might be enough. Depends on how some other things are done. If it ends up being really small, like that, 20 will be way too much. For now, I'm going to undo that. So just starting point. You don't have to give a default value, but I think it's a good idea. Inside of update, we're going to say if input get key. Get key or get key down. Get key returns true while the user holds down the key. That is what we want, as opposed to get key down, which returns true when they start pressing it. So if you just want a single press, like maybe shooting a bullet, you want get key down. For movement, you want get key. Get key, key code, dot, D. Then we are going to want to move. Do a debug log. Moving to the right. Copy all that. And this could be an else if, and just whatever. If it's A, moving to the left. Cha-cha, y'all. And then keycode dot space. We are shooting. Yay! Shooting the evil aliens. Alright, now we need code that will actually do something. I mean, that will do something if I come back over here and let that compile. Take a drink of tea because I've already had too much coffee, clearly. Check, make sure nobody's sending me messages going, hey, your live stream's off. Hopefully you can see it now. There's probably an easier way to get these comments inside of my OBS. It said there was a bandwidth issue as well at some point, which I shouldn't have unless one of my kids is also streaming. But, you know, all right. Cool. Okay. What I was saying was, okay, yeah, because I've already attached the script. So once I hit play, and I know I hit play because there's a bit of a blue tint. If you don't have play mode color tint set, you should inside of edit preferences and colors and play mode tint. That lets you know you're in play mode by giving everything a bit of a tint. A blue hue in this case, not enough to obscure the writing, but enough to hopefully remind me that I'm in play mode. And if you don't know why that's important, you should watch some of my other Unity tutorials on getting started, and you would know that it resets everything when you come out of play mode. Anyway, so if I hit A, it says moving to the left, and I can hold that down and it'll keep doing it. If I do D, moving to the right, and if I hit spacebar, we're shooting the aliens, yay! And that reminds me that I need to change that from git key to git key down. So the script is in place. I'm going to save real quick. The script is in place and working according to the debug log, so that's good. I'm going to save. It's moving slow. I think hard drive's backing up because why wouldn't it while I'm streaming, right? That's exciting. I think that's going to be my catchphrase. All right. Anyway, git key down because we want those to be one at a time. And there's some cool options in here. I mean, what I really like about the idea of this kind of Space Invaders and Galaga shooting aliens kind of game is there's so many cool things you can do with it. I mean, Galaga had double ships. You can do shields. You can do power-ups. You could do guided missiles like the old Atari thing where I can shoot and then as I move my ship I can guide. A lot of neat things. So this might end up being a longer term project, or maybe I'll just work on it over the next month and then release it or sell source code or let you play it on itch, or I should do that. I should put it on itch to let people see it, let people play it when it's done. But for now, the next thing I need to do, I'm pretty sure everybody can see my screen now, even though I haven't seen a response. Okay. Got my move speed set. I need to actually move. To actually move, I need to cache a transform reference. That sounds more scary than it is. Yeah. This transform. And then in start, I'm going to say this transform. This transform equals game object with a little g, which means the game object the script is attached to, dot get component transform. So the transform component, and again, I promise I'm not doing a big tutorial, although I do cover most of this stuff in a lot of my how to build games videos on this channel. A lot of it on the new channel, Superhero Coding, more from scratch. Got some courses and stuff coming out. This is more of a kind of a watch me work rather than I'm going to go into tons of detail and everything. Also, I might sneeze. No way to pause the stream, huh? Oh well, it happens. Wait for it. And I'm back. After a brief sneeze, what do you do when you're not sure what to do? You just pop back over to your How to Build Games logo. Because I know that mutes. So anyway, what I was doing before I sneezed. Transform. Okay. Transform is this stuff here, the position, the scale, and the rotation. This is a component of this game object player. Has transform component, a cube or a mesh filter component, a cube default. It has a mesh renderer component, a box collider component, and this player script component that we added. Now, one of my favorite things in Unity is get component. This literally changed my programming life once I learned it. When I learned how to grab, sort of get access to any of these, including, yes, the ones that you add, and start tweaking those things yourself, and manipulating them through the code. I'm going to be going into a lot of detail on that really soon on Superhero Coding. So if you're not following that, go to YouTube, type in Superhero Coding, as in anybody can learn a superpower. I can teach it. You can learn it. How to bring ideas to life. Superhero Coding, check that out. That video will probably be out next Tuesday for Teaching Tuesday. I've got one out now. That is a for loop in action. Somebody said, I don't really understand why you would want to use a for loop. And so I like build a grid of cubes and do some fun stuff with it. Check it out, Superhero Coding. Superherocoding.com. You can get the toolkit I used, or Superhero Coding on YouTube to watch that video and see one coming next week about get component. So what we want to do, we want to get access to this transform component. That will enable us to change position, the rotation, the scale, and all that stuff. In the same way that I can change it here by typing it in and making it, however I want, divided by 3. In the same way that I can change things here, I can change them inside of the code if I get a reference to transform. Because the script is attached here with the little game object G, it's going to use the one that's attached. It'll get the component from the game object that this component is attached to. Right. So I'm defining it up here. I'm getting a reference to it here. I'm going to use it down here. That's why I defined it up here. It is a class variable. This transform is the name, transform is the type, and it even handily says position, rotation, scale of an object. All right. Now inside of update, update runs constantly every frame. So think 60 frames per second, 100 frames per second, 1,000 frames per second, whatever. Just think of it as update runs constantly. Start runs once when the component starts, more or less, and update runs constantly. Just think of it that way. So the less things you can do, like this could be over here, but a game object get component and setting a reference is kind of an expensive thing if you put in an update. So that's why I do it up here. But we're going to use it. So I'm going to make a new vector3. I'm going to call it move offset equals, I can do vector3.0. Yeah. Or, yeah. And so vector3 is the XYZ. It's the 0, 0, 0.50. All of these are vector 3s. A vector 3 consists of an XYZ. A vector 2 consists of an X and Y. We said pixel stuff, but we're not doing that today. So vector 3, shorthand for writing vector 3, 0, 0, 0. There you go. Because this is the offset. So I've got to move speed. And what I need to do now is every time they hold down that key, I want to add something to the move offset, right? And then at the end, I will assign that offset or that frame to the game object. We'll put that in a minute. All right. This is kind of quick and dirty. There are other and better ways to do this, and I have not dug into Unity's new input system, but for a prototype, and even really the finished game, this is fine. Well, vast majority of the time. Always for prototype. For a finished game, a lot of the time, it'll be fine. All right. So the basic idea is that move offset dot, let's see. So I think, yeah. So RGB, XYZ. Red, green, blue, that is the R, the G, and the B. That's also the X, the Y, and the Z. So I want to move it. As I grab this and move back and forth, I'm looking up here and I can see that X sliding back and forth. So I know X is what I want to move, and things going up will go in the Y direction. So X is where I'm moving side to side. So the move offset dot X equals move offset dot X plus move speed. So if our move speed is 1, then when it gets the key, oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do get key down. That'll help make this a little bit clearer. And I'm going to change move speed to 1. Move offset X equals move offset X plus move speed. So we're saying in this vector 3, actually I should probably write it out longhand. Move 3 0f 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 f for floating point, known to us humans as with decimals. Same thing. Integers, whole numbers, floating points, decimals. Yeah, it's a simple version. So what I'm saying is take the X, and if we are moving to the right, we want to add the move speed. In the same way, I'm going to come over here, and I could do shorthand, but I won't. I don't do shorthand, especially when I'm teaching other people, because it can get confusing. Well, I might later. Anyway. Here, same thing, except it's going to be minus move speed, because X in the positive goes that way, X in the negative goes that way. That's the basic idea. And so because of get key down, it's going to do it when I hit A or D. It's going to move to the right or to the left. Move speed amount of spaces, but it's not tied in yet. So I've got to grab the transform. Let me see. This is the part where I will not remember exactly how to do it. No, I think I will. Game object transform local position equals. I should have transformed that or cached it. After 3. Yep. So I'm gonna leave that. 3 curve pause. So curve pause equals. Nope. This transform dot local position. All right. That's what I was forgetting. So we have to get a reference to the position first. We need the position, and we need the offset, starting with 0. Current position. Game object transform, which I can use this transform. This transform dot local position equals new vector 3, because Unity is kind of funky in that you can't just assign you can't just say x plus 1 the way they can in the inspector. Excuse me. I have to actually go in and tell it that I want it to, I have to make a new vector 3 and then assign the position. It's fine. So curpos.x plus move offset.x. And then we're doing that same thing for y and z. In this case, we're not moving in the y or the z. I could just do this, comma 0, comma 0. But yeah, if I wanted to move things around later, I would need these other parts. So it's fine. And I don't entirely know how this game is going to be built yet. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. Could do something like Galaga, but with a third dimension where you can move back and forth. That could be interesting. Where A and D will move you constantly from side to side, and W and S move you a step forward or a step back. That could actually be interesting. You have a depth problem though, because you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell unless there was a shadow on the ground or something exactly where they were going to be. That's why some of the 3D Tetris games would show like a wireframe of where it's going to be. All right, good. People seeing my screen. One person's watching. Several people have watched. Thank you for watching, whoever you are. And I appreciate it. I hope this is interesting at the very least. So that's what we're doing, and this will assign it. Let's go back to Unity. Let it spin for a moment and recompile. All right. Because we're doing get key down, it's only going to do it once. So if I hold down D, if I've done everything right, it should move 1. Bloop. Yep. And then if I hold down A, yay. And so I can move A and D all day long. All right. If I space, thinks we're shooting the aliens, we're not, that's okay. So now if I left get key in there, it would just move back and forth as I'm holding these down. And which way do you do it? Well, it's a preference. You can kind of choose how you want it to go. And I don't entirely know yet. I do know that this is way too big for kind of what I'm wanting to do. I'm going to come out of play mode because Unity will undo everything at the end of play mode. Move that forward a little bit, make it a little wider. I'm going to move sort of like that, so it's still closer. I don't know. I'm not happy with it, but I rarely am when I'm getting started. It takes a while to kind of figure out what you want to do sometimes, and that's okay. It's part of the process. No good game is ever made on paper. You've got to make it, you've got to try it, you've got to tweak it, and see how it goes. So I could even I could put something in that says, step or constant move. Not important. Okay. So I've got something happening here. I'm moving my character side to side. Yeah, okay, why not? I'm gonna do another public. Step moves equals false. And if step moves equals true, then I want to use get key down. Else, I want to use get key. So now I'll be able to use, because it's public, that Boolean, public Boolean will show up as a checkbox. I can check and uncheck. As soon as it recompiles, when I go back to player, step moves. So step moves is off. So now, as I hold down D and A, just moves back and forth, which is cool. A little fast. That's a little better. That's too slow. It feels pretty good. Something like 18. I think that's going to be the winner right there. 0.18. I'm going to stop. Copied it first and paste it back in there. That's my default. Now, if I come back here, it's working great. But if I turn on step moves, it's only going to be moving 0.18. So change that. Now it's moving one at a time. So, like I said, there may be something interesting there. But here's the thing: I'm still not sure if I'm shooting at things down this way or if I'm it's sort of a first-person Galaga, or if it's going to be more like a traditional Galaga or Space Invaders, with something up here shooting at me down here. So I don't know. We'll find out. Not important yet, really. As I shift myself around. Yeah. So, but I like having the option to do the step moves in there because that may come into play later on. But I would probably want a move speed free and a move speed step moves. But that's all right now. All right. So we've got our box. Our player moves back and forth beautifully. All right. Next, I'm going to make bad guy. All right. Alien ship. Why not? I'm gonna remove that component. Yeah. I'm gonna move it up. I'm gonna make it's red evil. Gonna make it less shiny, perhaps. More red, not metallic. Not played with these a whole That's closer to what I want. Specular. I could make it glowing, but interesting. More interesting if bloom was turned on, but I know. Turn that off. Okay, it's red-ish. If I change it to unlit, then it would be a more proper red. But see, you also lose the definition there and stuff. So do what I had. Simple lit. Okay, I'm gonna go back to where I was. Anyway, here's the alien ship. So I'm going to take the player script. I'm going to duplicate it. Call that alien mothership. And just right, the big baddie that drops the stuff. So maybe that's what they always call. Right, the mothership. It's like that. Want it to kind of move back and forth. Whatever. Okay. I want it to move back and forth, so I've duplicated the player script. It's giving me errors because there are now two scripts called player. Fix that. To alien mothership. If you've watched my courses, you know that this class name and that file name, and which is here, have to match absolutely identical. Case sensitive and everything. Okay. So I know I don't want step moves there. Still want to get a reference to the transform in update though. That's where it gets a little different. So we are not going to be controlling into this in this way. Comment all that out for now. I'll probably end up ripping most of it out, but do want a piece though. Move offset x equals move offset x plus move speed. Let's change this to be like 0.3 because we know the player is moving at 0.18. So recompiled. I think we'll give the default value. Oh, I haven't put it on yet. Bloop. 0.3. Beautiful. The other thing I want this to do though, so right now, well, let's hit play. That's still in place. This is still in place. I'm going to hit play and it's just going to move right off the screen. What I want it to do though, is I want it to wrap around. So yeah, I'll just kind of show you. This is usually my process. If curpos.x is greater than 20, float, then curpos.x equals negative 20, float. So that's going to change what it believes the current position to be. Wrap around if we go too far. Let's try that. So that should go and loop. There we go. All right. I can see that 20 is way too far back here to start at. That's okay. it gives us a starting place. So what I usually do, I'll start with something like that, and then I'll do public float max x equals 20, public float min x equals minus 20. I'm going to take max x, say if that's bigger than that, then equal that. So just like that, and this is one of the things I really like about Unity, I have now changed those from hard-coded variables to public variables, so I can change them in the inspector. So I can change this and say, you know what, maybe that should be like 0. So now, okay, it goes through and it just wraps around like that. Okay, that's a little more interesting. It's not quite where we want it. I can say, you know what, I want it to slow down. Slow down, everyone. It's there we go. All right. Slow it down as much as I'd like. So it's going too far off the screen. I can tell that. I can look at this and say, yeah, that should probably be more like 12. Okay, 0, that's not what I want either. I want less than 0. Very depressing movie. Okay, I still want to move this down more until it's kind of going right off the screen. And I'm going to back this up more. Okay, still popping a little bit here. Don't want that to go off the screen and come back. So if you're not watching this over here, you just know that it goes and then it goes and then it goes. Now here's the important part. Copy component. And you can also take a screenshot. You can write these all down. Point 1. You know, we could simplify this and say, okay, it's 8 and -8. Whatever. I'm going to copy the component, pause, and when we come out of play mode, again, Unity resets everything just like it was when you went into play mode. This would be a great time to save my scene, so I have saved. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste component values. There you go. There's a 0.1, the 8, and the -8. So now, if we hit play, now that we've tweaked those variables a little bit, so I've got my thing here. Imagining shooting. I've got an alien mothership floating above. Imagine that it's dropping things on me. How much further do I want to do? I don't know. So I've been streaming for a bit. Been streaming for almost an hour. I really want to make more stuff, but I mean, I could do this all day. It's probably. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. I know that's not much of a game, but no, if nobody wants to watch this, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. Let me know if you like this kind of content. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the game running. Should be looking at me. Let me know if you like this kind of content. I could work on this game live stream for months at least. I love doing this stuff. I come alive doing it. I think anybody can learn a superpower of bringing games to life, bringing ideas to life. I think everybody should be able to bring ideas to life in some way. Doesn't have to be a game. It can be a poem, it can be a song, painting. But I think there's a lot of value in being able to build something and hand it to somebody else and say, hey, check out this thing I made. And they can listen to your song or play your game or whatever. So that's why superherocoding.com and YouTube channel exists to teach people superpower. I am not the superhero. I'm the guide. I'm the Professor X to the Wolverine or Jean Grey, Scott Summers. I'm just the guide. I'm the person that's been a little further down the road, trying to help some other people go a little further down the road. So I'm going to stop rambling. Check out Superhero Coding on YouTube or superherocoding.com to see the gamedev toolkit, which will enable you to do some cool stuff. That's free. You sign up on the email list. I'm going to talk next week on Teaching Tuesday on the Superhero Coding YouTube channel about Get Component, which is my very favorite thing. You saw a piece of it today, but not much. We're going to fix that next week. I'm going to go into it a lot more in depth. I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching. Let me know. Drop a comment. Send me a note if we are connected in any way. If you've enjoyed this and want to see more. Nobody comments, I will probably not make another one. Yeah, I probably will. I don't know, hard to say. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.